Hi, my name is Ben Sutter III, and I'm founder and owner of BS3 Radio. I've been podcasting for 5 years, and with BS3 Radio, it has grown to over 46,000 listens and downloads. I've helped hundreds of people to start a podcast by giving them the knowledge, tools, and confidence to be successful. Now I'm here to help you do the same with BS3 Coaching. So let's build a successful podcast. I will be your podcast coach. We'll be able to work one-on-one. I won't be giving you a booklet and just telling you to look over it, but we'll be working one-on-one, side by side, to either help build up a successful podcast or to take your podcast to the next level. So click the link above or below to check out the pricing. I look forward to working with you, and God bless. All right. Welcome, everyone, to the FourCast. This is the first official episode under the FourCast title. Let's bring in our co-host, Wilks.
How you doing? How's it going?
How you doing?
I'm thawing out.
Dawkins.
What's going on, fella?
And HRap's chair. He's not actually there. I don't know what happened to him.
That's his published.
But so this is the name that we have created. Shout out to Dawkins. He was the one that came up with the name, titled The FourCast.
Yes, sir.
HRap, what's going on?
What's happening? I have to reset my mode. AT&T.
All right, no problem. But so we've been doing this already for a couple of weeks, but we are now officially branding this the FourCast. Myself, Wilks, HRap, and Dawkins will be coming to you with great topics every single week, giving you our perspective. It'll be comedic. It'll also be informative, and it'll be some of us just shooting the breeze. So that hopefully you guys will continue to tune in and enjoy it. Tonight's episode, we are talking and discussing the extreme weather event here in Texas. I'm in Texas. Wilks is in Texas. Dawkins is. HRap is in Chicago. So we're going to get his perspective kind of outside looking in. And everybody was probably clowning Texas and Texans. But we will talk about that. Now, Dawkins is out there in the field. He's the owner of a company called EnviroClean, and they actually do restoration, home restoration. And so this is huge for him. He won't be able to stay on the entire time tonight, but I wanted to first off give him the floor and opportunity to speak, and then we'll ask him a question. So before he gets out of here, on kind of a question to ask him to give us more perspective. So Dawkins, I'll give you the floor.
All right, thank you, Ben. And before we get started, I need to ask you, we need to figure out a way to get your head out of the way of the FourCast logo, in fact, so folks can see it. All right, so we need to work on some technical engineering there.
Hold on. There you go.
That's somewhat better.
Somewhat better.
But we need to make your head smaller and the FourCast bigger. That's what I'm trying to get at. And what's funny about this is I was kind of getting ready. I posted on Facebook the other day, when I sing in the car, I clear my throat before I start singing, even though it's just me in there. Well, I've been talking so much in the last 8 days that I almost have no voice left, because I must give my staff, my business partners, credit, because they are really the ones that are pulling the heavy physical load out in the field. My job is more of a coordinator. As the director of operations, I'm kind of coordinating the schedule with, which direction they're going to go, where equipment is going to go, that type of thing. And one of the things that to remember in this situation is that, just to give you an example, there are major insurance companies out there who have 25,000 claims that are sitting in a queue that have not been called yet. Okay, that gives you an idea of how many claims, and that's just one major carrier. That's not the rest of them. Okay. In one day, some of our competitors have received like 1,000 phone calls from people needing our services. I've been fielding an average of about 75 to 100 calls per day, which is probably close to 50 to 100 times more than we typically get in a day. So needless to say, it's a lot to manage, and you're trying to manage it at the same time considering the safety of your staff, because they were driving in that stuff, trying to get to some places and stuff like that. So there's a lot to think about and consider in those situations. And at the same time, are you trying to help customers, but you're also trying to be sensitive to your staff and not overworking them, because you need them to last for longevity. So it is interesting to say the least. And probably this, in fact, I just looked at my phone. I got a missed call already, and we ain't even been on 7 minutes, which is why I can't stay long. But yeah, that's basically the size and scope of it. It is just, bonkers. You got everybody wants some help right now because everybody is, that has damage is sitting in the middle of it. And obviously, it's uncomfortable.
All right. And we're going to take turns asking them a question. Mine's is, how is this affecting you mentally? Is it taking a toll on you that way?
Well, let me say this. I'm going to have to get rebaptized again after this is all over with. What I done said and what I done thought, I'm going to need some cleansing, and not that Catholic baptizing either. I'm talking about the all the way under the water kind.
You got to get done.
So it's trying, in a strange way, when you have a crisis like this. Me and my business partner are both ex-military. So when you have a crisis like this, there is an enjoyable aspect of it, really. In the sense that you're all hands on deck. We've been working now 8 days straight, and it's fast and it's furious, and your days fly by, but and sometimes at night you are so sleepy, so tired, you can't go to sleep, if that makes any sense,
Mm-hmm.
But it is a challenge mentally, to say the least, and one of the things when you're trying to manage a team, you got your regular staff, and then I have 7 additional temporary workers already, that are there, so trying to manage all those personalities and frayed personalities and tempers, because we've been working so long, and you don't get to the first 3 days, you couldn't even find somewhere to stop and get something to eat. So you're eating out of 7-Eleven and stuff like that. So there are challenges there, to say the least, mentally, just in keeping everybody else. And we try to keep an even keel and say, hey, relax and stay calm. And, we're going to get through it. It's unprecedented. I don't worry so much about mistakes, because when you're dealing with this kind of volume, you're going to make mistakes, So let's just work our way through it. So it's a challenge, but it's manageable.
Yes. Shout out to a couple of listeners. Lucas, thank you for coming in. Thomasina Coleman, aka Too Cute, that's her DJ name. We don't go by real names except Ivan, but
because I know
donate to families. I'm going to look that up, unless if one of you guys maybe know off the top of your head, but I will put that in the chat room.
Hang on a second. She didn't say families in need or nothing. Like, she just said families. I got a family, and you can donate to me at any time. So just holler at your boy. I can help you.
All right, Wilks, I'll go to you.
So, have you noticed any kind of strain on your resources? I don't know what you guys.
That's a great question. That's a great question.
Yeah, I was thinking that maybe pulling you in different directions, or it's just something maybe I don't know if you anticipated or whatever. But have you noticed a strain on resources?
Oh yeah, that's a great question, and I kind of try to pride myself on always trying to be a step or two ahead, in a situation, which is one of the reasons I posted the other day. I said my creative genius won't shut off. I'm trying to get some sleep, but I'm continuing to think, okay, what do I need to be doing, or how can I make it better, So when you talk about resources, you're talking about resources in terms of finances. Because, I got 7 temporary workers, and temporary workers in our field typically get paid in cash every single day. So you're talking about $1,000 a day just in temporary assistance, right? Then you talk about equipment, which is another resource, right? Yes. Air movers, dehumidifiers, things of that nature. They're at a premium. To give you an example of that, our supplier got in 400 air movers one morning. By the time he called to say they were available, and do you want some? They're gone.
Oh wow.
You know, that's how quickly it is, you know.
Yeah.
So you know, we've had to, you know, spend a significant amount of financial resources on trying to obtain new equipment, you know. So and then of course your people, you know. So one of the things that people got to think about is that every restoration company, every construction company, every contractor, they're going to need more manpower than they had previously. So that temporary, that bank of temporary workers that is typically available is now all of a sudden, oh, y'all need us now, huh? Yeah, I was gonna do it for $15 an hour, but no, my price is $20 an hour now.
Right.
You know, and actually, insurance companies actually understand that, and they allow for that. So they actually allow for you to get more per line item based on the fact that at a time of a catastrophe, they know services are going to go up, you know. So, yeah, that was a real good question, Wilks, but resources are very strained. In fact, also what we do is we know that demolition is coming. A lot of demolition is coming. We're still kind of in phase 1 right now, which is just the stabilization of our customers. Phase 2 is that demo phase where we remove material that is non-salvageable, right? So in order for that, we're going to need some supplies to be able to do that. So I got guys going to Home Depot to do nothing, but I need you to go buy as many contractor bags as you can. Fill up 2 baskets, you know, because I'm thinking that my competition, they still on phase 1. They still on stabilization. But I know, guess what? I'm not the only one going to need contractor bags. I'm not the only one going to need tie-back suits and gloves and blades and saws and stuff like that. So I'm trying to buy Home Depot out.
Right.
So I can keep doing my demos, and I got the material to be able to do it.
Yeah,
I hear you.
That's a great point, because right now everyone is not everyone, but a lot of people are in need, but not everybody can get the help that they want. So you got to be proactive in the situation. Kind of what I was saying. All right, HRap.
Yeah, I want to know. You know, you're speaking about the funding and things of that nature. How the money is coming in, but are you eligible for governmental assistance, and are you obtaining workers from out of state, like Hurricane Katrina, doing a disaster that we call COVID-19, and in New York they were bringing people from the medical field. Are you doing that?
Right. No, I typically don't go that direction. If I'm being candid with you, I ain't trying to split my money up like that. Even though there's more to be made, I would rather be more efficient and maximize each project I have, as opposed to doing a ton of volume. I'm trying to be selective as to what I take on, you know. Even though I want to help everybody, I can't, you know. And if I got a relationship with a vendor or a business that has been giving me work when it's slow, I got to give them priority now, because there's going to be an after the storm, you know. And after the storm, I need to still maintain those relationships. And if they like, you weren't there with me when they needed you the most, then they may bounce, you know. So I got to take care of them, you know. So new customers, while everybody wants to grow their book of business, you know, and their clientele base, I'm for strategic growth, you know, not just growth for growth's sake, you know. And then also the government funding piece, again, even though I put my real name on there, that's my real fake name. That ain't my real name. So I don't like the government in my business too much. So when you start asking them for stuff, they want to look at you a little bit more. You know, so I really try to operate, and then again, I anticipate this kind of stuff. So I want to be able to have the capital to be able to do what I need to do when I need to do it. But one of the things that you do in a catastrophe situation, like when you go to a customer's house and there typically is a deductible to pay, typically they don't have to pay that until the back end. What I have them do in a catastrophe situation, I need you to pay that deductible on the front end, because I need resources for your job. You know, I need to be able to hire people to come in and do it. So you're going to have to pay that deductible anyway. Pay it to me, get it out of the way so I can operate, and then we'll get you taken care of. You know, and that's what the majority of our businesses do, to get capital in to be able to, you know, complete the task that we have in front of us.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, well, I appreciate what you are doing, because people definitely need you. And you're doing a great job, man. So stick around for how long you can. I don't know if you got to run now or.
Yeah, you got. I'm 2 minutes over right now, Ben. So I need you to add that to my check. And don't. HRap and Wilks, don't worry about that check part. You know.
Oh, you get okay.
Y'all ain't getting no check. I have.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. But no, I had a thought, and I want to share something about the FourCast, because this is really our first show under that moniker, right? The FourCast. So what I thought is that, you know, we're going to pull back the curtain a little bit. There are going to be times where we're going to be vulnerable, we're going to be candid, and it's going to be what will make us different than some other shows, right? Yeah. Well, one of the things that I thought that I just hadn't got an opportunity to share with y'all because I've been too busy, but I don't want there to be another incarnation of the FourCast. This is it. If one of us got to drop out because of whatever reason, a change in circumstances, I'm just tired of it, whatever the case may be, then that's it. The FourCast is done. This is the only incarnation of the FourCast, and there'll never be another one, like there'll never be another Ivan Dawkins. And I'll see y'all next time.
All right, take care.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
All right.
I just want to add something to that. Ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis.
Classic.
Yes.
Classic line.
Classic.
We gotta review some classic movies too.
Yes.
Yes. All right, let's give some more shout outs, man. We got people coming through. Rhonda, thank you for coming through. Chief Rocka, Jersey Vern had a show earlier today on Built for This Network. Thank you for coming through. Nappiness and Joy. I love that name. I love that name right there. Thank you for coming through. Smitty Sports Machine. Make sure to follow him on YouTube. Thank you. Tracy Porter. Let's see. We got Jason McMinn. He's a part of BS3 Radio. He has a show called Unscripted with his wife and also his co-host Logan Landers. So thank you for coming through. He said, my parents are in H-Town and don't have power. Now, the thing is, this is a week from when this went down. This is a week, and there's people still without power. Yeah. That is a problem, which we're going to be talking about tonight. Mocha Bella, thank you for coming through. Justin Caraway, thank you for coming through. He said, you guys have to review American Skin. I agree, and I have not seen that yet. I am going to watch that.
I don't even know where to find that at, but I have been wanting to see it.
Yeah, so we will definitely do that. We're going to do Little Lies. Is it Little Lies? The movie.
Little Things.
Little Things, yes. The new Denzel, also with Rami Malek in that. Yeah, so we will do that one as well coming up next week. But so let's get into this topic. I was going to talk about this on my Saturday show, but my internet did not come on until like an hour before. So I pretty much like scrapped it because and my internet was out the entire week. I have Spectrum, and anybody that has Spectrum, at least in this area, you know that it's garbage. Okay, it's straight garbage. Yes. Can't seem to keep you on for a long amount of time. So, but the impact of this, and HRap, I'm gonna go to you. You're not here in Dallas, but what was the outside looking in that you seen, and what was your thoughts and opinions when it was all going down?
Okay, with me, it was different. I can't, of course, I'm not even gonna say that. I hate that caveat. I can't speak for anybody else, but obviously you can. But the thing with me was initially I kind of like snickered at you guys because it's like I'm in Chicago. It was like, man, it's 30 degrees in Texas, and it was like 5 degrees in Chicago. I was like, really? Is it cold? Initially, but then when you start hearing about all these things, and no power, no water, like, this is sinful. Because then I find out that, or advised the state of Texas to winterize the equipment 4 years ago. And then I found out 8 people, and it went from it's just that cold. And then the true reality hit me, right? I got friends down there. I got Ben, I got you, dog. You know, I just met, dog, but I got Ben and I got family. I got Antoine. My man Joe from Houston is actually in Houston. I got cousins Terry. You know, and I'm like, whoa, what's going on? You know, it goes from y'all gonna be cold for a little while. So what? Y'all don't know how to handle the snow too. Damn, this is serious.
Yeah.
So it was just the range of emotions over maybe a 36-hour period. It went from yeah, Southern people can't deal with this snow, you know, and then it went to about the advisory commission and received information saying that people, you know, were told this could happen. Now,
kind of breaking up a little bit.
Did we lose him?
This is people in need.
Oh,
People
you froze on my end.
focus like this. Look. AT in the grand carpet spectrum.
You might have to reconnect. It's because it's kind of going in and out.
I'll be right back. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I can hear you. You froze on my end, but I can hear you.
Okay. Well, like I was saying, Spectrum must be a subsidiary of AT&T because they got the same trash internet. But it's just it was just a situation to where, what I was saying before I started to freeze, I assume, is this was a situation to whereas it is a microcosm of what's going on in the country. A year ago, actually a little more than a year ago, the president was told, hey, this is coming. 4 years ago, the president dismantled the infectious disease program. And then 3 years later, an infectious disease shows up and he don't know what to do. 4 years ago, you guys were told, winterize your equipment. Here we are. 3 years later, you didn't do it. And now people are no longer with us.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Right.
You know, you have warnings, but you don't respond properly. And here's the other thing. This happened 10 years ago, 2011. When the Super Bowl was here, we had this exact same situation. No, it wasn't as bad, but it was a precursor. That was telling you that you better do something, and they did absolutely nothing. And then when this hits, it's like, oh, we've been caught off guard, and oh, we're Texans, and the excuse was we mainly prepare for heat. We don't prepare for winter weather. We don't prepare for snow. To me, that was the lamest excuse I ever heard. If you're an actual company, you have to prepare for all seasons. Like, God forbid something like this happens. And there were so many people affected and involved. Shout out to Jonathan Davis, Overton Claiborne. Thank you guys for coming through. And it was crazy. So, you know, my initial thought, Monday comes, I'm thinking, how bad is this going to be? Because you always think like the weatherman, 9 times out of 10 is going to be wrong. He's pretty much guessing. He's looking into a crystal ball and he says, oh, this is going to happen. When it happened, and I knew I wasn't going to work that day because the power was out. And I actually started Sunday. And when Monday hit, I was thinking, okay, where is this going to be? How is this going to go? Is this kind of a fluke? Is it going to be over with? So the initial thing they said was, oh, it's just going to be rolling blackouts. It's going to be like 15 to 20 minutes. It started off with hours. I mean, we're talking about like 4 hours it was off, a couple hours it was on, 9 hours it was off, another hour it was on. I mean, this was probably something that I've never experienced before. Even me and Wilks' boss, we worked together. She's from Missouri, and she said, I've never seen anything like this before. And this picture that you're seeing behind me, no, it's not at a ski resort. It's in Texas. These people are basically skiing on a ski resort, but it was on the streets. of a Texas city. So Wilks, give me your initial thoughts going from Sunday to Monday when this was starting to go down.
Yeah, so I'll go back further than that. The week heading into this this weather that was coming up, when I was looking at my weather app and it was saying 15 and holding at -2 for the low, and I'm like, oh, it had to drop off because sometimes it always drops off when it's early. And moving into that Friday, that Saturday, it was still holding. It was like, okay, Sunday and Monday, I'll go back further than that. So after that, when I noticed that, Monday night is when Monday mornings when I lost power. Me and my family, we lost power about 6 o'clock in the morning. And my wife was like, well, they saying it's a rolling blackout. I was like, well, 2 hours later, I was like, okay, well, it's not a rolling blackout. Something's not coming back on.
Right.
So about 10 o'clock that morning, the power came back on, and I was able to work and log in. Things were a little slow. It was kind of dead because obviously a lot of people in Texas were affected. Most of our calls are from Texas. But then we moved into Monday afternoon, Monday evening. The power went off about 7 o'clock. I was like, well, here we go. So then we moving into Monday, Tuesday morning, no power all day Tuesday. We're warming up in the car, like literally sitting in the driveway with the car running, trying to stay warm.
Yeah.
My other big thing was when the power initially, or when it finally did come back on Wednesday, but before even all of that, I said to myself, unfortunately, this is political. And the reason why it's political because nobody wants to prepare for the inevitable. Everybody wants to line their pockets, but not buy into that energy reform or that energy deal because that's going to take money away from them if we put it into the infrastructure. If we put that money to winterizing machines, and then we want to blame and point, then the officials, they want to start pointing fingers and blaming everybody. Another thing is that when it happened, and like kind of piggybacking off what you said, how are you the head of ESCOT and talking about, this was a rare case. We've never seen anything like this. Okay, that's great. But just because it doesn't happen as often doesn't mean we shouldn't prepare or future-proof for it.
Right.
Because there's so many times where we get caught not doing those things because we should have did those things. Now it's it's your fault. Well, no, it's your fault. Well, whose fault is it? Because we didn't do it in the first place.
Right.
So one of those things where hopefully they learn from this. I actually am expecting a documentary on this because I feel like it's at that level of craziness. So I love documentaries, but so I'll be trying to follow it as much as possible, and I hope they get it together. But so listening to some of those phone calls on Channel 8 News, ABC News here in the Dallas area, just hearing those people screaming on the phone and yelling and demanding, it's just, oh man, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah. It was a pretty wild situation. And let me read this comment from Rhonda. She says, because those of us in the Midwest are used to snow and below zero temps, we didn't realize the severity of the situation until the issues of power and water. Yeah, that's the difference between just having snow and not having power and water. And then the weirdest thing is they would say, well, we're on a boil restriction. So we need you to boil your water before you use it. And people are like, I don't have water. How am I going to boil? I don't have water or electricity. But I'm supposed to boil water so that it's safe for me to use. And the saddest part is kind of what Wilks was saying. People were in their cars trying to get warm, but they were in their garages.
Yes.
And that produces carbon monoxide, which makes you sleepy and eventually it kills you. And there was multiple deaths. I don't know the number.
I didn't know the number, yeah.
But there was multiple deaths of people sitting in their cars trying to stay warm. That is like third world country. That's stuff that you see in a documentary or stuff you see on the news on other countries that you're like, oh, that's them because they don't have supplies or they don't have these types of things. And for the first time in my life, I figured out who ERCOT was. I didn't know who that was until last week. And they're the commission that manages the power grid. I didn't know who they were. They came on the TV day one, whatever day or time they came on the TV, making straight up excuses. Well, we didn't know what it was going to be, so we decided to shut down the power, but they didn't have enough power to reboot the power. So basically, they decided to go through rolling blackouts, is what they called it. But it ended up being long-term blackouts, which
it was a blackout, all right.
It was a blackout, all right. Yeah, yeah, and that's what ended up kind of creating this whole storm of multiple issues. HRap, do you want to add something in on that?
No. I mean, everything you said is exactly what I was making. That's the point I was making. It was just the fact that it was avoidable is annoying to me. You know, it was the most irritating thing that I've ever seen in my life, because anytime, you know, you guys, again, I was making fun of it initially because it was like, hey, y'all cold, so what? And then when you get past that, and then you go, hold it, no water, no power. And then I heard the rolling blackout thing. Then I heard the inability to, you know, as this story unbraided, it was like, are y'all serious? And then, like I said before, I had to reboot. Shout out to AT&T cable. I mean, internet. Yeah, thanks. But you know, I'm complaining about that. But it was people, like you said, I'm hearing about a family that died in their car in their garage because they had the concept of warming up your car is foreign to you. But to me, that's what I do. When it's wintertime, I go outside, I fire up my car, I go back in the house, finish what I'm doing, and then I come outside and I go where I'm supposed to go. People below the Mason-Dixon line don't know what that is. Or if you do it, you only have to do it 5 days a year, every 4 years or something like that.
Right.
You know, for you, warming up your car is when it's 45 degrees outside or 50, and you don't want to get into a 50-degree car.
Right.
So it was just, it was a sad commentary, man. But again, it just shows you where we are in the country.
Yeah. I just want to say something real quick. What Ben was saying there. It was just pretty much, or not just Ben, but there was a question in the chat room. But yeah, when you start seeing the fact that people have, you know, pipes busting, no water, boil your water. There was one gentleman, he was in his house and showed his thermostat. It was a -8 in his house.
Wow.
And the drip that he had over the sink had turned into icicles inside the kitchen. So, you know, the lowest our house got was 45, and that was about as low, but it was still cold. But I mean, just some of the things that I was just thinking, like, you've got states and cities that deal with this for months, randomly for weeks, and I don't hear anything about this, not this severity, not this situation. And we can't handle 3 to 7 inches of snow. We can't handle 15 degrees of -2. Like, come on, man. Like, something don't make sense. Something's not adding up. So it's just one of those things where it went south real bad.
Real quick. Shout out to Miss Sonia. Thank you for coming through. I appreciate you tuning in. Also, Denise. Denise Milk and Cookies in the building. Thank you for tuning in. That's a nickname. I told you we don't go by real names. Now, Mocha Bella brings up a good point, and as you guys are listening, bring up points or bring up topics or things that either shocked you or things you want us to touch on. But what's up with Ted Cruz, who fled to Mexico with his family? And this is number one. This is Ted Cruz. Number two, politicians as a whole. I'm not going to say all of them, but a large majority of them run from trouble and controversy. When it comes, they dip, and then the fact that he blamed his kids. My kids wanted to go to Cancun. My first question was, where was your wife? If they really wanted to go, your wife could have got on a plane with them and took them to Cancun. I don't know the exact details about that part of it, but it's bad optics. You know that this is the state that you represent, and you just decide to say, I'm going to dip in the most opportune time, the worst possible situation, probably the worst time that Texas has ever experienced, and I'm gonna leave. And so, yeah, and if you go to this channel, the BS3 Radio channel that you're watching this on, you'll be able to see a collage of memes that I put together because they were hilarious. But the guy is a clown. He's a clown, and it's not. I'm not surprised, but I am disappointed. Like this is, and people in Texas need to do whatever possible to vote him out. I mean, there's a long list of stuff, but to me, if people say, "Oh, you're just being sensitive," he wanted it. No, because people were freezing in their houses, and he was freezing in his house, so he just decided to up and bounce. So I'll give Wilks. I'll give it to you. Give me your thoughts and opinions on.
Oh man, Teddy.
On that guy.
Oh, Teddy. This guy. Here's a guy that allows the president to talk about his wife, call him names on a national level. You want to back the guy, but it's only for your gain though, because you hopefully want to be in the position of running for a president again. Or who knows, maybe you'll move out of the state of Texas and try to run for governor. I don't know. But the thing is like Ted Cruz, it's like he doesn't think things through. He opens his mouth, he thinks he's sensitive to him, but he's not being sensitive to it. It's like, but that's after the fact. Why weren't you being preemptive then and like before that? Like, what are you thinking? And then I saw something where he said he got on the plane and he said, yeah, as soon as I sat down on that plane, I kind of had second thoughts. Teddy, please.
Yeah, you had second thoughts at that exact moment. Now when you were
Right.
walking to the airport with your bag and people were taking pictures of you.
I know.
And now when you were at home.
Because I know he's following the news. I know he sees it. I know the officials are talking to each other and bouncing things off. I know the governor is pinging him and they're bouncing things off and talking. I know you are. This is happening across the state of Texas. This isn't happening just in Austin. This isn't happening just in San Antonio. The state of Texas, over 200 something counties, maybe plus. Like, what are you doing? Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. HRap.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with Wilks again. Only thing I can add is I'm never gonna call him Ted again. His real name is Raphael Cruz. We need to stop calling him this cool name and make it to the name change. His name is Raphael, bro.
Raphael.
Knock it off.
Raphael.
And
No, I'm okay with that.
yeah, man. He's Raphael Cruz, man. And like you said, this dude has been a lapdog for the former president. He's a Tea Party guy. I hope I don't offend anybody, but they're not the most stable crew of people. So it's just man. At what point? Okay, see, all those people that stood around 365 days ago up until last November, vote don't count, vote. This is the results of you voting the wrong people in play.
Right.
You're right.
Right.
So the next until the world starts spinning. Remember what happened in Texas, right? That needs to be. This is just to me going forward. These things that are happening, like let I know this. I'm going a little further away from what we're talking about, but I'm really talking about putting people in play to take care of people.
You're all right.
If you are not opposed to what is going on, if you are if you running against Ted Cruz and if this isn't your number one talking point, you don't need to get my vote.
Yeah.
Period. Because hey, show y'all this. I'm old enough to remember in Chicago we had what y'all had 42 years ago. It was the blizzard of 79. Literally, snow was up to here to adult men like me. If you want to see something horrific, go to your Google tab and Google blizzard of 79 Chicago. It looked like a disaster area. You know how you had that fence right outside when you play Little League baseball, that fence that surrounds the home plate?
Mm-hmm.
It was snow piled that high in my schoolyard. We used to climb up the fence and skate down, ski down. So at the time, there was a mayor by the name of Michael Belandi. The first woman mayor in Chicago won the election in 80. You know why? because she was like, look how he did the snow. Only person that could have saved us from that snow was God. Well, he ain't had the snow right. And that's how you win an election. Even if you're full of it, if that's not one of your talking points, we need to start looking at everybody who didn't vote for the insurrection, who let the people in Texas suffer, and like Jason said, this seems far too familiar. Let's just go back to 2005 and the people who were in your town, and then especially your town from New Orleans, because somebody incompetent didn't do what they were supposed to do with water there. Now it's snow. Be unemployed.
Yeah. And the thing is, this is not as if these are things we've never seen before. We've all seen snow at some point in time. We've all seen floods at some point in time. We've seen it's a natural disaster. Things like this happen. So the proper thing to do is prepare at all costs. And they simply dropped the ball. So Jason, you bring up a great point. This is all too familiar with New Orleans and with Katrina. Those of you that are tuning in on the BS3 Radio Facebook group, make sure to click the link. I believe it's StreamYard, facebook.com/StreamYard or something, because we can't see your name. So you'll have to do that in order to be able for us to be able to see your name. And another thing was hotels were crazy. That is true. So I live by like 3 hotels are directly behind my apartment complex. And so when it really started to get bad, when you're sitting on the edge of your bed and your hands are freezing and you got to put gloves on inside your house. I had pants. You had to double up layers inside your house with a shirt underneath it, a hoodie, pants and shorts. So when it got to that point, we were like, okay, let's look at some hotels. We thought, oh, we're ahead of the game. No, I think what was this, Tuesday? We were behind the game on Tuesday. This started on Sunday. All the hotels were booked. And then we started seeing Motel 6s of the world trying to charge $800 for a hotel. If you got to get the key from the desk, that is like a $15.99 hotel, a lot of the time. So the disrespect and the price gouging, which again, this goes back to people will try to make money at all costs on your back. When you are literally at the brink, some people are dying. They will do what they can to make money. And I understand it's a business, but your number one, your conscience, and number two, like that to charge $800 for a Motel 6 or Motel 8 or whatever, you know good and well that place is not worth that much money. That's not even worth that much money in a whole year. Okay, like let's just be straight up. So, Wilks, you want to add anything onto that? I don't know if you guys did the hotel route or not.
Yeah, no, actually, we were going to do that. My wife, she looked up a few things on Expedia, and of course, my patience was running out by that time. It was like, get Expedia, like just look it up. But yeah, there were some things like just sold out. And speaking of price gouging, like I heard some people were trying to buy like generators, and they were like double the prices at some places, just trying to get generators. Like a generator that would normally be $300, $400 was almost close to about $800, $700. But it was pretty crazy. Hotels. I think hotels were even shutting off water in some areas because they were having pipes bust and having issues. So they were being overran and couldn't keep up with the demand as well too. So they were killing power. And speaking of more price gouging, people that are getting stuck with these high electric bills, which I read earlier today doing some more research on that. I guess there is a wholesale version of that versus a fixed plan. So I guess you have these little small energy companies that are offering you cheaper rates, but I guess people are getting duped by the fine print because they were saying that if a kilowatt costs this much, well, now that the demand has gone up for energy, well, now we're going to boost your bill because now the demand for that kilowatt, where it was $9, is now $50, or it's hourly. So a lot of that was kind of going on too, and some people were getting stuck with like $17,000, $8,000 bills. You know, it was pretty crazy.
Yeah, and clearly that's an opportunity to say, hey, we messed up, and this is the electric companies talking, but we're gonna charge you for our mess up. Like what logical?
How does it work? How does it?
And I guarantee you, they starting to charge people. People are already pissed. Okay, so if you want to piss people off even more, it's cold, and what the overlying part of this is, we're still in this COVID pandemic. So that means you got people going to other people's houses. Right. Who knows how long they've seen them? If they have seen them, where were they going? Where were they visiting? But they're just trying to survive. Like this became like a survival situation, not just one of those where it was cold and I'm just trying to warm up. No, this was like almost to a survivor standpoint. Shout out to GJ Knox. Thank you for coming through. Justin says he has to go in response to Ted Cruz. Jason says help with Ted Cruz and Sheila Jackson Lee. They both suck. I don't know anything about Sheila Jackson Lee, but I know Ted Cruz is definitely need to be out of there. He couldn't be bothered with being inconvenient. I guess it's inconvenienced. Yeah, I mean, like you all, as a regular person, we were inconvenienced the whole week. Okay, like you could not. I mean, you could leave if you wanted, but obviously the roads were bad, and I'm not used to that. You see, and the news does a great job at this. I love it and hate them, but they'll show you all the bad things that happen. They'll show you 9 different wrecks, and they'll say, make sure that you don't go out today if you don't have to. So that's already in your head. You know, we talk about, we're going to talk about the impact mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially. Mentally, I'm thinking because, like I said, me and Wilks are coworkers. He's working from home. I went back into the office, and when it opened back up because the power was out there, the first thing I'm thinking mentally is like, I don't want to get in a wreck. Like I'm not worried about myself. I'm worried about these other people that just think I can just drive any old kind of way. I'm in a rush. Like forget your rush. Like what's going on right now is not rush worthy for you to be driving everywhere. So in the mental aspect, I was just like, I'm really gonna try to stay at home until I feel comfortable, just because you just never know what's going to happen. You don't want to be that person, in the back of your mind. You don't want to be that person that goes out like, oh, I thought everything was going to be fine, and then you end up getting in a wreck. And then kind of to rewind, the last week, that horrible, I think that was Thursday or Friday, there was ice on the roads, and there was that crazy pile up of a wreck. So you already had that going on. Then you fast forward the next week, you got that. I mean, so mentally, I was fine because I was at home, but I was thinking like I got to go back to work eventually, and I don't know how good, how well the roads are going to be. Now, HRap, I wanted to go to you again. You are in Chicago. What is it? Is it just second nature for you to commute to work when there's snow? Now, I know you guys probably have snow plows, but I wanted to get your kind of perspective on that.
The ironic part is there's 2 ironies in this conversation. The initial one is people in Chicago don't know how to drive no snow on the ground either. They drive like the back of their car on fire too. So that's not just a Texas thing. You could be driving down the street, the snow be this high, this dude going past you. You're going like in 55, 65. You're going like 45, 30, trying just so you can keep your car on the road. And it's always some goofball or team of goofballs that just blow past you. You're like, for real? But the funny thing is, people in Chicago, when it snows, they drive real fast. When it rains, they like, oh. So
that sounds like this.
So that might just be a human thing. And for the very first time in a very long time, we had 2 feet of snow on the ground. As a matter of fact, it was the first time in 10 years, because the last time we had a snow this bad was the winter after my mom died, and that was in 2010. Ironically, it was in February as well. So our roads are jacked up here too. It was for the first time in a very long time. I remember driving down the street last week going, they ain't plow the streets. So it might just be a nationwide thing. And you know what? The conspiracy theorist in me went, maybe this is just something to try to get us to stay in the house.
Right.
Not the COVID.
AB, the first thing our boss, me and Wilks' boss, said is the COVID numbers went down.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, because everybody was in the house.
Right, 'cause everybody-
So yeah, you're right. The numbers did go down, but you're right, HRap. There's always, one thing my dad has always taught me is you got to look at things at every angle. You just look at it straight on, you just get in one perspective. There's there's things at every angle, and yeah, the numbers did go down. And then I the thing that really upset me was just the excuses. Like, to me, if you just would have said a simple, we made a mistake, we apologize, and we're going to make sure from here on out we're going to weatherize the generators and the units.
Right.
That's all they had to say.
Right.
None of them said that. None of them. They said, well, we didn't want to do that because it wasn't required of us to do it. But 10 years ago, something happened that you should have did it, HRap.
You know why they didn't do that? Because those people, they knew somebody was going to die. They knew people would be injured. And if we don't do this and we admit it, then we're liable.
Oh, yeah. Your lawyers, their lawyers immediately were like, don't admit fault. I know. Yeah. I mean, and everybody tuning in on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, click that bell so you can be on top of the new episodes, everything we're putting out. But mentally, Wilks, how did that affect you?
It was more so just me kind of worried about my wife and my daughter. Actually, my mom was here with us because her heat wasn't working as well as it should have. So, but my wife was not doing too great. She was okay, bundled up and everything, and make sure my daughter, she's 8 years old, she's worried about making snowmen. I was like, that's not important right now. So we need to focus on keeping you warm and keeping you bundled. But and sometimes, it's different because during the daytime when the sun was out or when it was light, if it was cloudy, it was a little bit more manageable, something, if that makes sense. Your mental capacity or your mental state was different. But when it gets dark and it gets cold and all you've got is flashlight and maybe a few candles, then your mental psyche becomes different because now you're in the cold and now you're in the dark. Right. You can't see much. It's like it gets colder, and then you're trying to sleep, then you can't sleep, but then you worry about those people that are sleeping, but yet then your body starts to slow if you're not warming. So now you're starting to freeze to death. So it's just a lot of those things that set in. I couldn't sleep very well. I got up a few times and kind of sat over here on the couch. Everybody else was kind of knocked out, but it's just one of those things that kind of just kept me awake and like looking outside and just kind of, checking on things. But yeah, it kind of plays with your mental psyche, versus when the sun is up or it's daytime, or worse, the sun goes down. Now it's dark. Now it's nighttime. What's going on? It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And now I would say I don't have a sleeping. I didn't have the sleeping problem at all because I can sleep at all times. So I'm not gonna tell that story. Yeah. But I can sleep at any moment. So I slept pretty well. I will say that. Me, my daughter, and my wife, we were all bundled up. Under the covers, we had like 5 covers. We were like, just don't move. Everybody just stay here.
Yes.
You didn't have TV. Normally that's something you could do to pass the time. You didn't really have that. So, we kind of listen to music. We were able to stream from our phones. We got a hotspot on our phones. So, thank God for that.
Yes.
But it was a wild time. Now, Denise says, my aunt lives in Dallas. She was bundled up, but she's okay. Her pipes burst though. And that was the worst because, like I said on the news, I get it. You wanna give everybody a full scope, but they kept pushing this out. They showed this guy's apartment. I don't know, every hour on the hour, he had a TV up on the wall, and the water was just bursting out of behind the TV.
Yes,
and his apartment was just obviously was flooded. All of his stuff was ruined, and they kept showing it. And when you see that, you're thinking like, man, how many people is this happening to that aren't on the news? And Denise, you put that in there. Prayers for your aunt. Hopefully she's okay. But that there's so many different people that had to experience that. And Wilks, I agree with you. My daughter is 9, and her initial thought was, "Let's go make snowmen." And I'm like, "Yes, that is great, but right now you don't have any gloves. Number one, and number two, I'm not really going outside right now. So when we do go outside, we will do it. But just right now,
I go outside.
In your mind, you're thinking like, I don't want to do anything. Right. I'm trying to survey the situation and see, like, where is this going?
Yes.
What is tomorrow? What is the next hour going to look like? Right. What is the next day?
Like, how long is this going to last? Because I haven't had power since Monday. Exactly. It's like
because we were supposed to do our show last Monday. It was going to be a Valentine's show. We were going to talk about that, and Dawkins said, "Hey, we may not be able to do this because of the power." I just thought, well, it'll probably be back on. This is rolling blackout, so we'll probably be back on in a little while. That didn't happen. I was in the dark.
Not quite.
So there you go. Let me see. Justin says, I'm sure they get some money from the electric companies. Think about it. I'm sure they split that money up. They didn't spend to whether. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
That's money in their pockets because that would be money that they would have to spend to be able to make sure that stuff will work properly. Solar panels, baby, that's where it's up, says Jason. Which they were talking about the windmills and that the windmills were frozen. They were pulling out.
They were trying all the stops,
and all of us were like, "Really? That's what you're doing?" We all made that face.
Yeah.
I know the politicians get some financial backing from the electric companies. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Have a good night, beautiful people. Thank you for coming through, Rhonda. We will definitely do that. Stay safe, stay warm. Now, the physical aspect, which me and Wilks kind of touched on this. It is that's the real thing because when you're inside, it's that cold of a temperature. I think we got down to 50 or 60 at some point, but there's people that were lower. And when you get to that point. Now they started talking about frostbite. They started talking about all these other things.
Yes.
And it's like people in Texas probably didn't even know. Some people didn't even know what that was. I mean, this was like an education lesson. And then it's like being thrown into the fire, but obviously the reverse. But it was just like being like, hey, deal with it. And then you had this clown, this guy, what was that guy's name? Tim Scott or something like that.
Oh, the
mayor,
Tim Boyd.
This guy, he just comes out and goes on this rant like, "Hey, you all need to deal with it. Nobody's getting them handouts." And me and my wife were like, "Electricity is not a handout. We pay for that, son.
Right.
We pay for that electricity.
Right.
It's not as if this is something that's being given for free. It's not like a sandwich at a homeless shelter.
Right.
This is stuff that we're supposed to get because we pay our hard-earned money for it." He just went on this rant, and then he came back with the apology, and I'm like, "Bruh, the apology means nothing. What you said it because you meant it. Right. Don't come back now and say, "Oh, I'm sorry that I was a complete jerk and I meant it." Like that. No, that apology is not warranted. HRap, when you seen that, what was your initial thoughts?
Well, my initial thoughts were, again, I was thinking big picture. And not that I wanted you guys to be cold, but I wanted all the politicians to start coming apart at the seams. When you put people in a pressurized situation, a real person comes up. That politics speak disappears. Then you got jerks like this guy. Suck it up, Buttercup. Oh yeah, duly noted. And see, this is why, I was actually having a debate about apologies and not accepting them anymore from people who do things that are clearly disrespectful or clearly you're wrong, and you offered me an apology like insulting culture, disrespecting circumstance, and things of that nature, because you went right into who you really were. So I was going, another guy that needs to be unemployed, another guy that needs to unemployed. Every time, so. Because, like I said, the first 36 hours of this, I was like, they're cold. And then when because I'm talking to Joe from Houston every day. And Joe is like, man, he would say, man, I would tease Joe. I never really let Joe know how worried I was. But he'd be like, man, it's 30 degrees down here, man. And I'm like, it's 16 here, man. I'm just teasing Joe and we laughing. But I was really worried about him because I'm like, it's 30 degrees down there. And I was thinking like you, like, nobody in that state has gloves, coats. You don't buy a coat when you go to Texas. You leave your coat at your mother's house in Chicago. Like, yeah.
You leave it in the car in the trunk.
Right.
You don't have to wear it.
I'm good. I don't need that.
Because I got a homeboy, he lives in Arizona. And he routinely sends me a selfie like this of the sunny skies and no snow. So I'm calling him because I saw Eddie Johnson posting on Instagram. It was snowing in Phoenix. And that day was a very sunny day in Chicago. So I was like, yeah. So that's how I started off. But once I started realizing people losing their lives, and you got politicians saying, suck it up. And you got another politician going on a European vacation conveniently because my kids wanted to. I'm like, see, we need to storm his house.
Yeah.
You know,
you want to talk about storming the Capitol. Go to that dude's house and hold up some signs. Go to that dude's house and lay down in his garage.
Throw some
snowballs.
Right. Throw some white water at him.
Yeah. Look at this. Some sheetrock.
But and just be a human. Like, at what point do we just get away from not being human and just caring for your fellow person? Not saying you got to give them something. Not saying that you gotta give them the shirt off your back, but just being like, wow, this is something that you're experiencing that I know you haven't experienced. So what can I do to at least help? What type of word can I say? I had a lot of people call me and text me that family members, people that I haven't talked to in a while, just wanting to check because that's somebody that you know and that you care for. And then when you see it, like, again, when you see it on the news, they're gonna show the absolute worst. Then your immediate thinking is, man, how's my friend doing? How's my family doing? So, like I said, this picture behind me is not of a ski resort. That's on the street in a Texas city. And people were going skiing on. I mean, some people were enjoying it. And then it goes to the point where emotionally, and when I talk about emotionally, I'm gonna go to this point where the power was kind of selectively shut off. Again, that goes back to where we are in this time in this country, where we are when it comes to being very selective on how you treat certain people. So you go to a city called Highland Park. Highland Park had 90% of the residents had power. Now you go through all the other cities, and Highland Park, a lot of famous people that live there, a lot of high affluent people live there. You go to other places, and they were out without power for 24, 48 hours. That goes back to being like 20 degrees in your house. So this was the thing emotionally where I'm like, I'm not surprised, but I'm still hurt. Like, you still have feelings. You're still a human. And you're thinking, like, there's people that are literally suffering to their death, and you got people in their house that aren't losing any type of power at all. And they're saying, oh, well, it wasn't selective. How is it that 90% of the people have power and it's only 10% that don't? And those 10% was probably the houses that were originally in Highland Park before they end up coming in there and whatever they did. But Wilks, I know you've seen that, so I wanted to get
I saw that because also what prompted that too, there was a few buildings downtown that were vacant buildings that had power, and they were like, okay, why does downtown, some of the skyline, why are some of the lights still on downtown? Why are these empty buildings and some of the floors selected with lights and no power? It's like you selectively, like you said, went in and chose like, they're on a certain grid. We'll try to get their power back on first. We won't leave them in the dark because somebody called and somebody was nagging. They were nagging. So that it's just so many things emotionally, because even in my head, when the power came back on, I was thinking, man, I got limited time to do this. Let me do this real quick. Because what if the power goes out in a few seconds? It became a psyche thing. It became kind of emotional because it was just like, it's like you're on a time clock. It's like, man, I don't know when this power is going to go out again. So let me hurry up and wash these dishes. Or let me hurry up and put this pot of stew on or something. Let me get something hot going real quick because it's going to go out again. Or let me boil some water and, the steam will help, in the house and keep it warm and it'll linger. Just little things like that. It was just kind of playing with your mind, and then how some, like you said, parts of downtown still had power when other people didn't have power. They were like, okay, but this building's empty.
Right. Nobody there, and nobody's gonna be there for the whole week probably.
Yeah. So like, what are you doing?
And then I'm a sports fan. Believe me, y'all, everybody knows me. I'm a sports fan. Yeah. They had the American Airlines Center, which is in downtown Dallas.
Yes.
Lit up, and they were like, "We're gonna play. I think it was a Mavs or a Stars game for hockey. We're gonna play that game tonight." And I'm like, "You don't know. You don't see what's going on right now." So thankfully, though, they did shut it down. But the days that they had the power on before that, and that day, you're talking about trying to spread out the power.
Yes.
And you got one building which is gonna have.
Well, they mentioned that too about the AT&T Stadium. They were like, okay, why is Jerry World lit up, but yet you've got people like in apartments across the street with no power?
What sense does that make? So they canceled the Mavs and the Stars games for the week. So I'm gonna give them a golf clap for that. But I would have wanted initiative to say, let's do this now. They waited until I think the NBA or the Dallas mayor was like, hey, do you see what's going on around this building? Like, this building means like nothing at this point. It's a sports arena, but there doesn't need to be anything played in that arena. So, they did the right thing eventually. But if they weren't pushed to do it, I guarantee you they would have had that game. They would have had games all week, and then we would have been, looking like, really? I'm in the dark right now, and I can't even watch. Who's watching the game anyway?
Like, who's looking? Yeah, somebody or looking at it on a hotspot
from another state. Maybe you watch it. So, so again, just one of those situations that thank God it's over. Thank God we are now at Monday the 22nd. Some people, though, unfortunately, still don't have power. And then my boss, she didn't have water yesterday, and she's in a town further out, in kind of in the country. So I mean, like, there's residuals to this. Like, we think it's over now, but it's not. Like that's the other part of it. And now the main focus for me is, what do you do moving forward? Do not come on TV again and say and make an excuse. The next time any of these people, Urquhart, Greg Abbott, any of these people, the next time you come on TV, say, we have weatherized these units, and they will be weatherized from here on. Because at this point, you can't just say, oh, well, we didn't have the money, or you can't bring up money as excuse, because you made money and you're still making money and you continue to make money. So take that money, a little bit of that, and make sure that you're prepared.
Right.
Like that's the saying. We've all probably heard. You don't have to get ready. You need to stay ready, because these things are going to happen. And then the funniest thing, and I'm going to try to find this, is Ted Cruz said on a tweet, I think it was, I don't know how many years ago, he said, if I'll believe in global warming,
yes,
Texas freezes over.
I saw that.
Well, guess what, my friend?
That didn't age well.
Guess what, Raphael? It came true.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to touch on the psychological part, because, even though the Chicago thing, it is normal here. My window's cracked right now. Seriously, it's like 12 degrees, and I got the room I'm in is freezing right now, but I like it that way. But even though I'm living through this every winter, it is 39 degrees in Chicago. My window's open about that. My friends come say they feel like I can hang meat in here, but that needs, but but with that being said, it played on my mental, because I'm like, man, what if that happens here? If it's 50 degrees there, it was 8 degrees some days here, 6 degrees some days here. If the power goes out of Chicago, half the city gonna die.
Oh man.
Wow.
So when you brought about that psychological thing, I'm sure I wasn't the only person in Chicago or the Chicagoland area thinking, damn, what if that happens here? So you got a whole country probably on pin, or a lot of people in the country on pins and needles, because the whole country was filled with snow and ice at that point. It was places throughout the entire United States of America that traditionally didn't get cold that were cold.
Yeah.
So I'm sure I don't think I'm some type of savant or anything, but I'm quite sure that anxiety that you felt, like when Wilks said he was sitting in his house thinking, man, should I just pack my family? I'm sure you would say, should I just pack my family up and just drive as far as I can?
Oh, definitely.
So when you live in Chicago, when I'm gonna drive up to Wisconsin, over to Minnesota, where it's even
Right.
cold, or to Iowa.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Just to piggyback on what HRap was saying, we had to actually, I got out of the house with my family. We actually drove around. I think it was Tuesday night when we didn't have any power, and it was dark outside. Of course, there were people trying to make it to gas stations that didn't have gas.
Right.
I didn't talk about that. There were some few gas stations that were closed because they didn't have power, but the gas station right across the street had power, but no regular unleaded. People were using Premium and Supreme, or the people trying to go in and get like snacks or some water or something. That part was closed. But just that little drive around the neighborhood, it like kind of took away that cabin fever, as they say. But it became a little bit more manageable because we got out, because we were in the house since Sunday. The power was on Monday morning, went off Monday night, stayed off all day Tuesday, half of Wednesday. It came on Wednesday morning about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. But I think that drive really helped because it plays on the psyche. It plays on the mental, and the coldness. And I don't know if anybody on here has experienced, or maybe in the chat room, if you've been out in the cold a certain number of hours and minutes, your body is tired. Your body feels like you have been weighted down with, I don't know, just a feeling of like, man, I'm so tired. I gotta sleep. But then when you do sleep and you get up, it's like that coldness has wreaked havoc on your body because it's just made you so tired. But it was just one of those things where it affected a lot of different things. And also, I didn't mention this, my mom's job, they actually had some flooding at her job. The fire, the extinguisher, I can't think of it right now, but the
water,
the sprinkler, the fire system, sprinkler system busted in one of the rooms there. She works at a daycare, and it flooded some parts of the wing of the building. But a lot of people had that it's like, why is that not winterized? Why are you not winterizing fire sprinklers? It's gonna bust. You got water in the line. It's like you said, it goes back to that infrastructure and that money they don't want to spend because it's lying in their pockets. It's on their bonus. It's like you need to be putting that into infrastructure. We talk about that all the time. Like you need that.
Yeah, that's true. Justin says, not sure we will hear from them again. They will decline all interviews unless they can control it. And you're probably right. ERCOT, they got roasted. The minute they came on TV and they would start making excuses, people started. There was posts on Instagram almost every day. This is their emails. This is their phone numbers. It blew them up. And the minute that they came on TV, it was just. And then the thing that also pissed me off was that some of these people were not in Texas. Some of these people didn't even live in Texas, but you're supposed to be
controlling that energy.
Yeah. How do you control something from somewhere where you're not? You don't know what's going on. I get it. There's computers. I get all that. But when power goes out, computers, there is no that they can't do anything with that. So,
real quick, you were saying that they didn't live in Texas. They were taking emails and things like that. Did you see that they were pulling their names off of the website because people were they were taking the VPs?
I'll look for it.
they were taking the names off because, and the pictures, they were taking the pictures off too, because people were like getting the pictures, getting the names, like writing letters and sending emails.
Yeah. People were pissed, man. I mean, people's mental, like Wilks was saying, people's mental psyche is already shot because of COVID, because of they're already staying at home and working. Some people don't like doing that. Some people do, some people don't. Some people like to be out and be able to conversate with their coworkers and things like that. They're already at home in a bad mental state. Then the power goes out, so they can't work from home. They're at home with their families. Some of these people are home by themselves. Like that, you would probably go crazy. You're just looking at the walls like, what do I do? You can't charge up your phone. Now, I got charging banks, so I was able to use those. But and that's the other thing. Kind of funny, but not funny. As soon as that power came on, everybody went to that charger, was like, bam, let's go. Let's get this wherever, how long as possible.
Yeah.
Because you don't know. You're trying to flash charge your stuff. Yeah. And so, it was, again, it was emotional, no doubt. And then, being able to get out. We did get out one day, and I was nervous. I'm not even going to lie. I've been in accidents, not on the ice, but just for my stupidity, and stuff like that. And now being on the road, especially in this, I'm nervous. And I wasn't even driving. I was just like, look, let's just go around the block. Okay. We don't need to see anything. There's nothing to see here. Nothing to see. Like, let's go to point A to point B. Let's get to the house. Let's get back inside. We got out for a minute. That was my thing. Yeah. And then, like Justin says, did we touch on the gas being out? We kind of did a little bit, but yeah. And shout out to my wife. She was like, let's fill up on Saturday or Sunday. She's always thinking ahead. That's why I love her. She's always thinking ahead. I was like, it's not that important. But you talk about gas being out. You can talk about gas prices are probably going to be up if they're not already up. But you people were driving from gas station to gas station to gas station, try to get gas, or they were filling up their tanks, that you have. And so that was another layer. So you talk about layer on layer on layer. This wasn't just a snow event. Like it was so many different things to it that you had to be affected one way or another. And that's the realness of this whole thing.
And then in Houston, I know some people who moved from the West Coast to Houston, and one of the reasons they moved there is to get a fireplace. And then they was running out of wood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to touch on that too. What HRap was just saying. When we got out that Tuesday before the sun kind of went down, it got dark. I saw people in front of other businesses that had trees and were cutting their trees down.
Really?
Yes, there is matter of fact, there's a daycare up the street from me. This guy was cutting their tree down to get wood because the grocery stores were closed. They had no power either, or they were out of wood. And it's so funny because when the sun would come up the next day and we were out of power, I could hear my neighbor. Matter of fact, my neighbor came over to me and asked me, could he borrow one of my saws because they had a tree in the front yard.
Man,
I forgot about that. But yeah, they were like cutting trees down in like front of businesses when I was driving around. I was like, hey, it's survival mode, man.
Yeah, this got to a real point. Yeah. Shout out to Newport 100, aka Rollo, right?
Rello.
Yeah, Rollo. I'm gonna get that right one day. But yeah, man. Again, just one of those situations that you don't want to see happen again. But mentally, you got to be thinking you have to be prepared, and that's like the name of the game from here on out. But the last thing we were going to touch on was financially, which good thing we didn't go into work, but our job did take care of us there because the power was out. So even we could not go to work. Now, Wilks, you working from home with the internet going out, with the power not out. Were you able to work a complete day, at all?
Monday, no, because like I said, the power went out at 6:00 on Monday. Power came back on at 10 that morning. So I worked most of the day. Luckily got through a whole day, but lost some hours. And then about 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, like I said, that afternoon, power went out again all day Tuesday. So I didn't work all day Tuesday. Power never came back. Wasn't even a blimp, a flicker of light. So I didn't get anything done on Tuesday. Wednesday, we got it. We didn't work. I didn't work a little bit on Wednesday either because the power didn't come back on until 1 o'clock in the morning. So I didn't get on until late Wednesday. It wasn't on then, and then probably about a good Thursday night, I got a chance to get on and work. But even some of the you speaking about financially, I can only imagine like Tom Thumb up the street from us, which is Publix to some people and whatever else, but they actually cleared out their fruits and vegetables and eggs and milk, because if that cooler goes down, your store's gone down. That means you got hot milk, the eggs are just sitting there, the fruits are going bad because you don't have your little sprinkler to, you know how they water the produce or whatever. So, with the grocery stores, I'm pretty sure they lost a lot too, having to throw that stuff away and then restock what they had in the back and still be short. So, and luckily for some people, maybe it didn't get that financially. Of course, I thought about our refrigerator, how long is the food going to stay frozen? Of course, I got a grill, so I didn't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
So if it came down to it, but just how like it probably did impact some people financially, work-wise, business-wise, if they've got a business and their pipe burst, things like that. So it touched everything. It touched everything.
And man, shout out to my man again, dropping us with a donation. We appreciate that. He said Cruz said he needed to check on his side piece real quick. Yeah, he as soon as he landed, the side piece was in the airport, and he was like, "Hey, you doing all right? You need some money, anything?
You good? Whoop.
You need like what's my man? Mike Epps was like, you need a soda water. Yeah, you get soda water out of there."
Oh man,
man, we appreciate that donation.
Speaking of financial, I saw a couple families down there, house burned to the ground because there was no water to put the house out.
I didn't see that. Wow.
Yeah, and
there was a raging fire too, Will.
Yeah. There was a couple of fires. One was at like a set of townhomes, and the one of them was burning, but I think it ended up carrying over to more. And people are like, man, that goes back to all of these things we talked about, how it impact them. COVID, number one. Number two, you got all this snow, and number two, you got no electricity, and then your house is on fire. Like and some of these people were just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. Like, don't ask me. Don't interview me. I don't have any words for the level of frustration that people were at. So there was a couple fires too. So yeah, he said took care of him in the restroom. Think we know what that means.
My man Rello.
Rello, man, we appreciate you every time you come through, man. He said my cousin had to stay in the hotel for a few days. Yeah, I seen, there was a friend of mine, she posted on Facebook, we're gonna be in a hotel tomorrow, or maybe she said looking for a hotel. Then her next comment on that post was the hotel's out of the hotel power went out. So I'm like, and then the next post was, oh, it came back on. But it was probably going to be a back and forth type of thing because and one thing that I used to work at Home Depot, and with generators, if it's not, prepared, if it's not filled with gas being out, if it's not fully prepared, who knows how long that generator is going to last? Or who knows if it's even ready? And at the point in time where this started going down, that was really the worst time to try to run out and find gas. So I mean, you had to do what you had to do, and then you had schools. The schools were just they pretty much said it's a wrap all week.
Yeah.
And we're not going to do online, because that's the thing. There's really no snow days anymore. Snow days are done with because of COVID. Thanks a lot, COVID. But now you basically they shut down the schools. All the schools are shut down every day. They were saying the same thing. So that again was another part to it. And I'm sure the kids were probably happy they were able to build snowman and do things like that. But you think about the parents. It's just how does that affect you? So my daughter is she is one of those like positive people, like no matter what. So she was good as long as we were able to charge up her iPad, and that was good for that next couple hours. Then when it went out though, she was like, what am I gonna do now? I'm like, I don't know. Take a nap. That's what we about to do. We're all about to take a nap.
You know what's weird? The fact I found it weird. I want to know you guys' perspective. The fact that no TV, no power, no TV, no cable, but the internet still worked.
Yeah.
And mine was out the entire week again with Spectrum, but some people's was. Wilks, you can talk
I was gonna say the funny thing is that we didn't even hear from Frontier, which is the provider down here, that the only way we couldn't act when the power came on, the internet was instant. It's like it wasn't affected. It was just that, okay, well, we can't get the internet into your house because you have no power. Not once were we knocked out and said, well, I don't have an internet service. Not even the phone towers went down. I didn't hear anything about phone towers going down. I had phone service. I mean, it was one of those things where it was just like, why is it just the power grid as far as the energy sources going into the homes? It's not like the cell towers or anything were out or, couldn't make calls. But yeah, like HRap was saying, it's just like one of those things. Like, my internet, like I said, I've never had a spotty moment. When the power came on, I didn't have to wonder about, am I going to have internet? Is it lagging? I mean, like I said, I was able to work from home as soon as I got power. I mean, it was just like my router rebooted, and it's like it had always been.
Cell phones, I'm in my car a lot.
Yeah.
So I listen to Sirius Satellite Radio. Laura Coates, people calling Joe Madison from Texas. People calling Laura Coates from Texas. Yeah. People calling Karen Hunter from Texas. So that's literally from 5 a.m. to 6 p.m. People calling in, and I was just like, wait a minute, you don't have no power. You can't watch TV. You can't do none of this, but you can still call people.
Right.
You can still use your internet to listen to satellite radio. It was just, again, I am a conspiracy theorist.
It's just so weird.
So it's weird.
It's almost like a stress test. It's like,
right, exactly.
It's kind of like, let's see how much this can go or how long we can leave it like this, and then boom, pop. Some people got power, some people got water, but yeah, pretty crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah. Rello, man, great point here. We're gonna touch on this. Texas fought to keep their grid off the national grid to avoid regulations. When they brought that up, they said Texas was on their island basically when it comes to the grid. And that was a huge factor in this because you have to control it. That means you have to do everything.
They lock pockets again.
Exactly. And then when we talked about weatherizing things and you said, well, it wasn't regulated, or they said we didn't have to do it. Like, who is they? Like, you are they. Like everybody.
Don't answer anybody.
There's no they. There's nobody to point their finger at. And then they had another guy that came on, some type of Texas regulations guy. He came on, and he was making excuses. But Texas fights to have their own thing, which I know people. The thing is, everything is bigger in Texas. Texas could have been their own country and all of that. And we're struggling with power. We're struggling with some of the basic needs,
right?
And that was one thing that Wilks was joking about. But real quick, I wanted to go back to Spectrum. Me and my Spectrum goes out at just random times all the time. And me and my wife was just joking, like Spectrum was so happy that the power went out, so then they didn't have to worry about the cable. As soon as the power went out, it was like, oh yeah, we're done. We'll be back, when everything's back and fine. But they are always looking for an excuse to make sure the internet's not working. And my wife was not, man, she was not. She called them so many times, and I was like, look, they're not gonna have an answer. This is Spectrum again. And they're like, well, do you want us to put you on the call list whenever it's back up? So like, we're already on the call list, okay? I'm trying to call to figure out when is the internet going to be back up, because the power was on at that point. Yes. So now we're just waiting. Like, okay, why is this not on? One part's not on, but the other one's not.
I mean, I didn't have any.
Turn that power off when the power went off. Yeah. And we can save this next week.
Yeah, that was like we can save some money.
Like, oh.
And then they just couldn't have a clear answer. They're like, they're working on it as soon as it's safe. And I'm like, the snow's gone. Okay, I'm pretty sure it's safe now. I haven't seen the Spectrum truck at all. Now I will say Encore, which Encore is another part of this whole scenario. They're the ones that turn the power on and off. I've seen plenty of Encore trucks, so I got to say, shout out to them. If anybody works for Encore that's watching this, shout out to you guys. You guys were out there and doing what you had to do. And now I know, during certain times that you had to be the one to turn it off or turn it on or whatever. But I mean, you guys were out there, so but the grid thing.
That's so amazing to me. Real quick, it's like if we can survive and deal with 100-degree plus heat and energy demands for AC and air conditions and fans, you mean to tell me we can't handle a -8 or a -2 at some points? A 4-degree, a 15-degree, we can't handle that for some heat. Like
in 2021, we can't handle that.
Like, come on, Texas, what are you doing?
We had the people on Mars this week.
Right, you dropping a whole bus on Mars, but we can't.
Let's not talk about that. That's a whole nother fight for me.
Like, don't go there and mess up Mars. You need to fix that.
Wilks, you should have saw my Facebook page.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Man, just like this is 2021, man. Like we still got things going on like this that should not be happening. And the shock part to me was when we got in the car to drive around and it was 9 degrees. I was like, I've never been in a car ever in my life that it was 9 degrees, maybe like 20.
Real quick, I gotta add something. We'll go back to this real quick. I just thought about this. If NASA is in Florida and the control center is in Houston, how in the hell did you launch a rover and just landed that bad boy? Was this app? I'm like, how y'all control it?
The internet was still working.
How are you controlling it?
They had that high speed. Like they'll never shut down NASA's internet ever.
It's like, come on, man. Y'all doing?
They probably had their own deal anyway.
Oh yeah, probably. They agreed. It's agreed within
or
the Matrix
conspiracies. Yeah. Because I know someone who was a fan. He says he does not. He don't believe they've been to the moon.
Hey, that's still.
I mean, I do not put anything past this country. We look at the history, which we're not going to go too deep into this, but we look at the savagery of how this whole thing started.
Right.
Anything's possible. I don't care. Anything is possible. Steal, kill, destroy, do whatever.
When you say this is not America, this is not who we are, my eyes begin to rest.
Look at the history, and not in the history books either, because that's
right.
This is saying we have in Chicago when you taking advantage of somebody, when you just won't relent on taking advantage of people. Pimp or die.
Yeah.
Pimp or die.
Yeah.
Man.
That should be somewhere in the Constitution. Pimp or die.
Pimp or die.
Write it off to the side.
Yeah. Take it. Like steal.
You don't need it.
Yeah, we'll just take this from you. Right. You don't need this. You're not doing it right. We just take this.
No.
The law is when your feet hit the ground. If nobody's there, you own it.
Yeah,
that is an actual law. Like if nobody's there to say, "Oh no, this is mine." Boom, this is mine.
Wow,
that's a law. That's how they took over the country.
Yeah,
exactly. So don't tell me This is not who we are. This is not. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
This is who we've been.
Yes.
Like this is who we need to not be. Like that's what it needs to be. That's what the saying needs to be. This is who we are. The 45 being in office for that long and everything that happened, that is a prime example of that. This is who we are.
Yes.
Accept it or not accept it.
Right.
Not every single person, but as a whole, people from other countries looking at us like, really? This guy?
Come on, man.
And then you want to defend him like this guy. Not someone else. Not someone that has a little bit more of sense or compassion or caring about anybody else but himself.
That's weak. That's weak.
You're laying out the red carpet for this guy of all people.
Right.
So, yeah.
You heard what Theodore said. He was like, "Hey, we had the numbers. He won't be impeached."
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's right. No sweat off the back.
Here we go. If a midget falls in the big and hussy section and no one's around, does it make a sound?
Oh man.
But
Rello,
man. Rello. So fast forward to now. Today was what, 40 degrees, 50 degrees. Right now it's 57.
Yeah.
Right now it's 57, so we are out of that. I don't know what's gonna happen. From here on the rest of this year, we're about to get into spring. And he said HB. HB said that on the HB. I don't know who H is. That you? Is he talking about you?
No.
HRap?
I'm not.
Okay. He said I'm not stealing. Okay. But this week has been a lot better. Today's only Monday. The roads are a lot better. There's no snow around, and it's not cold enough. He said, "Yo, co-host." He calling you out.
I don't remember saying that. I don't remember.
Man.
Always lying. Justin said I had on shorts today. Yeah. My coworker had on shorts. This guy wears shorts every day. So I mean, except he didn't wear shorts one day last week, and I was kind of shocked. But yeah, we are back to some normalcy now. Obviously, in these past year to a year and a half, there hasn't been a lot of normalcy going on. But now we're back to some sense of normalcy. Everyone seems to be safe. They're working on getting water. That people need water. They're working on getting this all straightened out. But there we have it. Wild week, man, from Monday to Sunday. Just a wild week. You didn't know from day to day. You just didn't know what was going to happen. You didn't know what to expect. One other thing, we went to Central Market, and which is or HEB. They're under the same umbrella, but it was now they had some of the basic things. When it came to, I think it was some of the freezer stuff was cleared out, or they didn't have any like hot foods. Normally they have like a section of kind of like hot foods, or like they didn't have certain things. But I mean, it wasn't really packed either. I was kind of shocked. I thought it was going to be packed, but it wasn't packed. We got in and out. We got some things that we needed, and we did survive it. He said it was 71 was the high. Yeah, and that's the thing about Texas too. It is roller coaster weather. You could take a picture from yesterday to today, or even if you look from the last day of the storm to the next day, it would look completely different. It wouldn't look the same, especially if you're in the sun. But
we'll send your picture to Chicago.
What'd you say?
We'll send you a picture of Chicago so you can feel better about Texas.
Yeah. But to give everybody a preview of next week, we'll be talking about the new Denzel movie starring Denzel, obviously, Denzel Washington, and Rami Malek, and I always forget this guy's name with the long hair. Jared Leto. Yeah, so we'll be talking about that movie, The Little Things, which It was a really, I thought it was a really good movie. Some people giving kind of mixed reviews. Rotten Tomatoes says 47%. It's a Denzel movie. It's always going to be on my list, no matter what. We'll talk about that next week. Wilks, you want to leave us with anything before we get out of here?
I think that's really. I mean, I think we touched everything. We talked about some of the gas stations not having gas. And real quick, still some people that don't have power. The people that still have to boil water. Luckily, Garland, we didn't have any warnings for that in Garland, but my son near Sherman, which is near Oklahoma, I think they're still under the boil water thing. And now we did have they wanted us to restrict the use of water for Richardson, Plano, and some other areas. But I just hope all the families, if anybody's listening was affected, I hope you got heat, water, and food, and everything's good, and you're in good health. But it was mind-boggling. I was just like, man, we got states and cities that go through this all the time and handle this from what I can see on the outside, but we can't handle this, so, it's just one of those things. I'm just glad it's kind of behind us. I think it would have been actually a little bit more enjoyable if we had power and water and heat. Mm-hmm. It just would have been a normal cold winter for Texas.
Right.
And you know what I did not notice, and maybe I didn't see a lot of news, but most people were not posting pictures of their beautiful winter wonderland.
Yeah, no,
it wasn't none of those going on.
No, that ended after the first day.
Yeah.
After the first day, we were like, okay, this is not funny anymore.
Yeah, this ain't funny.
It was fun that one day. Then it was like, okay.
I don't care about your snow, man. I don't care about your igloo. No. I want my heat. I want my water. Yeah. Right. That's all I got.
All right. HRap.
Man, I'm just hoping everybody in Texas all right, man. And my new saying is stay on top of everything, otherwise you're gonna be on the bottom.
Yeah.
That's true.
Definitely.
That's facts.
If you owe me something, get it from God. If I owe you, get it from God. That's
But we are all safe. Prayers for all those that are still going through it, those that are plus the pipes, that they have renter's insurance or home insurance or being able to get something. I did pull up 2 websites. Somebody asked about being able to donate, and there's 2 websites. One of them, and I'll put that one up. It's Linktree, but it's DFW Mutual Aid. That's one place that you can donate to. The other one is feedthepeopledallas.com. So those are 2 that if you feel led to donate, because people do still need it, that you can give to those 2 funds. Overton says, as long as I owe you, you will never be broke. As long as I owe you, you never be broke.
There you go.
Yeah.
always get it from God.
The last thing that I'm gonna touch on is not really on a positive note. It did have a positive ending. Wilks, I don't know if you heard about this, but there is a kid walking home from working at Walmart in the snow. He was walking in the street. He couldn't walk on the sidewalk, and he was harassed by the police. The kid was 18 years old. They came up to him and he was like, "What are you doing? Like, what's going on?" He was like, I'm walking home. I do this every night."
Right.
And you just think about George Floyd. I mean, I'm not gonna go down the list because there's a long list.
Right.
But you think about all those people. You think about somebody that's 18. We talk about the emotional part of it. He didn't want to stop because he didn't know what could potentially happen to him. He ended up getting arrested. Of all things, I mean, nobody was on the street. Nobody was out. He was walking home from work, and somebody called a Karen or a Becky or whatever name, or we want to give that person.
Or Tyrone that wants to be a Karen or Becky.
Maybe said that somebody suspicious was walking down the street. He was going home from work, and there was no need to stop him. I think this was in Plano, which is the city I live in.
And
the police chief commented on it. He said there was no need. There was no need for that. So the charges have been dropped. But you just talk like emotionally. You talk about like how you see the world now. 18 years old, how you already see it all the time. But then when it happens to you,
Right.
How is that going to affect your
Like,
life?
how are we still dealing with this? Like, why is it still a thing?
2021, we're still talking about these same things.
Right.
And he was resisting. There was no need to arrest him when he was walking home from work. And his mom and dad, they got to be pissed. I mean, because this is your son, and they were like, "Oh, we didn't know how old he was." Like, so what?
What does it matter?
What does it matter how old he was? So, like I said, not really a high note that I'll leave you guys with, but the charges have been dropped, and we'll see. And the one thing I was thinking is, ask him if he needs a ride home. Okay, if you're that concerned, if it's like, oh, we care about the community, we care about the people, say, hey, young man, would you like a ride home? I mean, that was it. And if he said no, say, okay, like that was it. And it didn't need it. Huh?
Or was he gonna steal the snow?
Really?
Right.
Exactly. So I mean, it goes back to where we are in this country as a nation from every single level: police, government, regular people on the street. I mean, like all of it is needing reform, is needing change. There's not one place where it doesn't need change.
Yes.
So I'll leave you guys with that. Everybody take care. Rello says, I know you better spend some money. But appreciate everybody for tuning in tonight. Rello, thank you for the donation. We appreciate that. I appreciate that. Make sure to like, subscribe, click that bell. You can support BS3 Radio with the super chat, which is the $sign down below in the comments. We will be back next week. HRap.
Yes, indeed.
Wilks.
Until you kick me off.
Yeah.
Oh, we riding till the wheels fall off.
Oh yeah.
And Dawkins gave us some points at the beginning. So, like HRap says at the beginning of his show, this is a podcast. You cannot miss it because it's everywhere. It's on YouTube. It's on Facebook and it's on Twitter. You can watch this after it's over with, and you can give us a thumbs up. Then you can watch it from the beginning. Thank you, Taryn Rodriguez, for tuning in. We appreciate you over to Claiborne, all the people that tuned in tonight. God bless. God is love. Peace.